Hi everyone, my name is Joe Mabege, a marriage and relationship coach. Today I'm going to be talking on the topic red flags in courtship. Red flags in courtship. Courtship is a period where two matured people who are ready to get married, decide to have a relationship, basically for the purpose of ascertaining if they are compatible or otherwise. So courtship is actually a relationship for serious-minded people who are ready to settle down. Yeah, but there are certain things that one has to look out for during courtship. And these are the red flags. And once you begin to see these red flags, it's an indication that the decision you're about to make may be wrong. So you shall be careful when you're in courtship to look out for some of these things to see if what you're about to go in is going to be a good thing down the line or not. One thing that I recommend all the time is that intending couples must do a background check. Why is this important? Usually we're a product of our family, where we come from. If you see a man that is given to beating up his wife, he learned that from home. He probably saw the father doing that to the mom and came to realize that issues can only be resolved through the fist. So he's going to imbibe that in him and do it when he marries, because you believe that the only way you prove that you're a man is by beating up your wife, and he will learn it from the home. So background checks are very important. Background checks are very, very important. And do not disregard the outcome of any background check you make. The same thing applies. If in the course of your background check you realize that maybe your mother-in-law to be is this domineering type, I guarantee you that your wife to be will also end up being like that. There are some of these women who virtually want to take control of the house. Even though the man is there, they push him to the background. He does not say anything. He has no say. They take over headship of the home. So if you have a mother-in-law to be that is like that, I guarantee you that your wife will also turn out to be like that. Because the truth of the matter is, the apple never falls far away from the tree. So beside background check, another thing that one has to look out for in courtship is the tendency of an abuse, the physical abuse. When you're into a relationship with someone, maybe a man, and then you've never gone to a point where you see him get upset, then you really don't know that person. Sometimes I find it funny when people say, my fiancé does not get angry, blah, 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 and all of that. And I say, you don't know him. You only get to know the true color of someone under provocation. So if you're dating and it has never gotten to a point where your fiancé or your fiancé get upset so that you can see that true colors, you really don't know him. And if a man raises his hand to hit you one time, I guarantee you, he's going to hit you over and over again and again and again. And the funny thing about people with this kind of physical abuse qualities, they are very funny. They will beat you up and they'll end up crying more than you that is beaten. It's actually blackmail too. Sometimes they cry, it's because I love you too much that I'm doing that. And most times women fall into that trap, and you keep hoping that it's going to change and it doesn't get better. So if you're a girl and you're in a relationship, in courtship with someone, and he has the audacity to hit you one time, I tell you, it's a red flag and you have to fly. You have to leave that relationship. If you hold on to it, you're going to go into a relationship that is going to be very abusive, and God will help you if you come out of it alive. So a man that hits you one time, don't allow the second time. He's going to hit you again and again and again. No matter how he cries, walk out of that relationship. Your life is more important than that. Some other thing again that you need to look at, another red flag you need to look out for during courtship is, flirting. A man or a woman that goes into a courtship wants to settle down. And if you want to settle down, it means you want to stop some of those traits that you had when you are not ready to settle down. And flirting is one of it. It is from flirting that infidelity comes in. You're in a courtship with a man or a lady, you see her or him showing a lot of romantic interest in other people. It's not good. It's not good because it starts from that level. I find it very ridiculous sometimes when you hear a lady telling you, I have a man as my bestie. And then you hear a man saying, I have a girl as my woman as my bestie. No. Your bestie should be your wife to be or your husband to be. You can't have a bestie of the opposite sex. It's unwise. It's totally unwise. The Bible tells us that lead us not into temptation. If you put yourself in temptation, I guarantee you'll get to a point where you won't be able to control things will go to hell. So if you want to settle down, you have no business with your ex. You have no business with your ex. Concentrate on the person you want to raise your life with and then focus on it. Don't be too close to someone of the opposite sex, be it at work, in church, or anywhere. The only person that should be very close to you should be that person that you want to marry. So if you're in courtship with someone and you realize that that person is still flirting, I tell you, the person will not change. Even when he marries, he or she will continue to flirt. And from flirting, infidelity comes in. And I tell you, it's very painful. When you have to suffer betrayal by your spouse, it's a very painful thing. There is no medication for it. You can't buy paracetamol and take in order to heal that pain, and it's very, very deep. No wonder the Bible allows for divorce only on the basis of infidelity. So infidelity is one other thing that if you notice that your fiancé is flirting and will end up being an unfaithful husband or unfaithful wife, it's better you don't go into that relationship. It's better. Another red flag that you need to watch out for is third-party influence. Some people are so emotionally immature. Every little thing that happens in their relationship, they are either taking it to share it with their friends or to their extended family and all of that. You're sowing the seed of discord in your family. I'll tell you one thing. If you have a problem with your spouse-to-be or your husband, and you go to tell your friends, they will never give you advice that will benefit your relationship. In the same vein, if you take the problem you have with your spouse or your fiancé or your fiancé and go and tell it to your family, they will be looking at that thing from the perspective of you are our daughter or you are our son. They will never look at it from the perspective of a new home that is about to come up. Because remember, marriage is made up of people from different homes. So you're coming from a different background, he is coming from a different background. That initial stage where you're trying to consolidate is usually challenging. But if you're committed towards it, you will deal with your issues yourself. Because once you betray your spouse by telling your parents or your friends that this is what he's doing to you, down the line, even if you forgive that spouse, those people will not forgive him. They won't forgive him. So at any time, they will be looking at the situation like, okay, he's abusing our daughter. He will end up being an abuser of our son. He's going to abuse our daughter and all of that. But that problem was actually sown by you. So an emotionally mature person will learn to handle his or her issues herself. It's better you deal with these issues amongst the two of you and iron it out than looking for a third party. Because third parties do not help relationship. They only break it. And then lastly, marriage is for mature people. And by maturity here, I mean matured physically, matured emotionally, matured financially. Yes. You might be old, but if you're not matured emotionally, you won't be able to deal with marriage. Sometimes, if you're not married yet, you begin to say things like, oh, there are things I won't take it. I won't take it. When you marry and you want your marriage to work, you will take a whole lot of things. You will. If you want that marriage to work, you will. That shows that you're a mature person emotionally. Okay. And maturity financially means you should, as a man, have the ability to care for your family before you go into marriage. If you don't have an income to sustain a family, then marriage is not for you. Because you're not going to be feeding on oxygen. You need to provide for the family. And of course, physically, according to the law, you must be 18 years. But I recommend to people that 18 years, even though it's the legal point where you're declared matured, for marriage, I recommend that you must be 20 and above. You must be 20 and above, because most minors that marry, that is people between 18, most young people that are married, maybe between the age bracket of 18, 19 and all of that, most times you see that their marriages don't last. Most of them sometimes marry beyond their control. Maybe they're in a relationship, pregnancy pops up, they decide to marry. Or maybe someone is being caged in his home and is looking for caged in a home and is looking for an opportunity where you can have unrestricted sex. Once you marry, you realize that those things are no longer priorities. And that is why such people that are not physically and emotionally mature, when they marry, it doesn't take long before the marriage breaks up. And they begin to give you excuses, irreconcilable differences. What for God's sake, what difference for God's sake is irreconcilable? There is no difference that cannot be reconciled. If that difference has been created by man, man can reconcile it.